Welcome to a new episode of Two Black Critics with Marvin Mason and Mark Sneed. I'm Mark Sneed,
Howdy.
and we will be talking today about a number of topics, including gatekeepers and movies and alternative endings to movies. That's will be my little pet peeve, and hopefully some movie trailers. So, as we get ready to get started, Marvin, got anything new that you want to talk about specifically, or
Yeah,
before?
well, I'm hoping we'll be adding on. We'll be discussing Pitch Wars, which I sort of want to get off my chest. And actually, we've always discussed this offline. So, some black novelists coming out. Actually, a convention I'm looking to attend. So let's get started. I'm
Okay,
real excited about this one.
so I hope you're excited about all of them, sir.
Yeah, well, actually, you know what I like? I like a theme from now on, like da 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 da. We can't have a Dateline or a Nightline kind of
Well, we could
intro, but
you
we'll
could have
get to
just
that
gone
later.
with the dun 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 and without saying Dateline, and I wouldn't. No one would have noticed. But okay, trying to give them
Oh, baby,
royalties.
to see if we have to clear that. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, no problem.
see,
Go ahead.
see, going against that. All right, so
Go ahead, bud.
we're gonna start out with gatekeepers, and um, I I wrote a novel, and almost immediately I realized that writing that novel, that there were people who were called gatekeepers, the people who were controlling the narratives of people so that you could see it or get an opportunity to be heard or thought about. And those gatekeepers happen to be, I think, about three or four major players in books, and I assume this happens as well as in movies and in records and all that. But for this point, I just really want to talk about books for right now, and that would be,
Hmm.
and the gatekeepers I'm talking about are like the New York Times Book Review, which is huge, and it changes, writers' careers just on a good review or a bad review. Amazon, which has a book review section as well. And again, if you get into that top tier of Amazon reviews, you can make millions, as well as Apple. Apple has a book review section that allows that same kind of thing, and of course Barnes and Noble, which is really surprising because it's the, I guess, the last bastion of brick and mortars, as you like to say, of stores that are still around. People can walk in and you can go into a bookstore, and they have again a lot of cachet and power in all these others, and they're completely different than the other three. And I just think that those gatekeepers are really interesting because without good reviews, you can't be recognized, and it's like, I don't know, walking up to someone with your hat in your hand and saying, "Please, sir, can I have another?" kind of thing.
Yeah, Oliver. Yeah, I got you. And it's funny because I've got a lot of, I've got notes on this, and let me do this real quick because I have to. I'm using this portfolio that I got from the Elizabeth collection. Somebody on Twitter named Jade Beth. She's tremendous, and I'm going to say she's tremendous because she actually hand built the portfolio, but she actually customized it to my design.
Oh,
And seriously, if you get a chance, go on, check it out, Jade Beth, the Elizabeth collection. It's tremendous. It really is. And
okay.
she didn't have to do it. She had her own. She's got like 5 different models.
Mhm.
And I went, I'd do it, but you don't have my model. She asked me to my own specifications, what I needed, and she
Okay.
fulfilled it. And I'm sorry.
How
I
long?
can't
How
keep
long
a
did it
straight
take?
line.
How long did it take to make?
Dude, she got it turned around in 3 days.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
And under $20, including shipping and handling.
Okay,
Kid
cool,
you not.
cool.
All
All
right.
right,
So anyway,
push on, push
let's
on.
go into basically gatekeepers, which basically for the most part, it's funny because you do say it like this. For the most part, what a person that's going to basically control access to something or someone of power, right?
Right. Hmm.
Or people of power. Before I got into education, followed you in there. One of the last roles I had was as a telemarketer for smart technology, right?
Okay.
which was funny because that was my, and as long as I've been dealing with it, I never fully acknowledged the gatekeeper until I was really at their beck and call, right? You know what I mean? I couldn't, my phone calls, I always went directly to them. So I understand where you're coming from in regards to these are the people who give you access. And in this case, they give you access to a whole new world the minute they let you talk to somebody or deal with the constituency that you actually want to talk to, right? Which is basically the public.
Right.
And it's interesting that as an independent writer, both of us are, that we're trying to figure out how to get to the consumer at the end of the day, just as really the major players at the end of the day, that's their goal.
Right.
And they've taken so many people out of the game. So you talk about the New York Times book review and Amazon, and I think that more so Amazon created this beast so that people could become self-sufficient, but at the same time, they're more dependent because for the most part, you want to break out. I love when you release Teddy D. And I know, and I'm hoping we get a chance to talk about that a little bit, today.
Sure.
When you had a chance to actually release that in April, the dynamic that was there and how you actually had to go out and hit the bricks.
Yeah.
So to speak, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we do have social media out there to help us get the word out, which, 10, 15 years ago, you really didn't have to the same extent. And Amazon itself wasn't as prevalent out there to unleash all these authors, and God knows, do we really need all of them? Maybe not, but it gave people a chance to at least express themselves and put their voice out there. And what you see is more clamoring. And I find it interesting because at the same time, like the movie side, actually, that window shut down. At the same time, the book side started building up.
Sure.
Right, from an independent standpoint, right? Because you can build on your own, right? All right. So you talk about Amazon, Apple. I got to admit, I was always on the fence about, but my issues there. Barnes and Noble. There's another avenue there because really you talk about your gatekeeper. And Barnes and Noble, I don't see as the gatekeeper. Okay?
But they are. I mean, let me pause you for a second.
No, you deal with it. No. You deal with the gatekeeper. That's Ingram. That's Ingram Entertainment.
But pause for a second. Let me explain why I mentioned them as a gatekeeper, because what Barnes and Noble decides is a hot pick sways the market. So they are a gatekeeper. I get you. No, don't get the wrong idea.
I'm looking at your own experience and also my 25 years of dealing with them.
So
and here's the thing about it, because the same gatekeepers also keep an independent bookstore, the brick and mortar store, away from touching a Teddy D if you hadn't actually put it in Ingram's pipeline.
Yeah, but let me pause.
You're having success in Amazon, and dude, I'm giving you love here. So you're having success with Amazon, all right, and yet. It's my background, so I go into the brick and mortars, and I'm getting this pushback about, dude, we don't even see it.
Right.
How do you get it? How do you get access? And you and I going back and forth. So I say the gatekeeper here is Ingram, and the worst part about it is the closing down of Baker and Taylor. God forbid, no one knows what the heck we're talking about.
Right.
But when you start losing players, that's when the gatekeeper gets stronger.
Right, because they monopolize. I get that.
Exactly. Okay,
well,
that's my take on that.
That's all the reason I mention it is because, again, the whole purpose in my mind is that I get what you're saying. You're talking about when we mention Ingram. Ingram is a publishing kind of distributor.
A distributor, a distributor, right?
Let me just, and as a distributor, they get the books out there. But see, Barnes and Noble are the people who, when you walk into the store, they're already telling you or directing you, look, this is a good book. This is a book. That's what I meant. I get you. I definitely get the concept, but I was just trying to point out that when I'm saying a gatekeeper, that's the ones who make the consumer start to pull out their wallet and start to pay. I get your point. I don't think we're far afield. I just think that I picked those ones because when you look, for example, in the New York Times, those books that they list are the greatest. Those are the ones that people are buying. When you look at Amazon, and Amazon has the top 10 books of whatever, then people are looking at those top 10 books. When the same thing with Apple, and again, if you go into Barnes and Noble, you see that. I do get your point about the distribution having that power, But I was just talking. That's what I was talking about specifically. I'm not
Yeah, but when
disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
specifically, no, but when you're talking about a Barnes and Noble or independent bookstores, okay, it goes back to the old Flip Wilson joke about you got to crawl before you walk, and the crawl is the distributor. Put it this way: they get roughly, seriously, about I'm going to say 2,000 solicitations a week, new. All right, first click solicitations a week. We're talking about Barnes and Noble here.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm one buyer, how do I actually see 2,000?
Right.
Okay, it's through the gatekeeper, and that's what I'm trying to make you understand. That the gatekeeper here is Ingram, and what their sales rep actually pushes to them, and then they take a look.
Okay.
And then they go, okay, tell me more. So that was the importance there as far as your relationship, you building a relationship.
No, I get it. I do get it. I was saying, I don't think we're.
That's why they're the gatekeeper.
Okay.
That's why Ingram is the gatekeeper here in this relationship. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Sir.
Amazon, you're right, is completely different, which is you have a direct contact to Amazon. Thus, all right, the rollout to the consumer is via them.
Right.
Barnes and Noble, they don't have a clue to you until they break into a rep, and that's the way they like it.
Okay. No, I kind of get it. I think we just didn't find out.
I'm just saying, like I said, for somebody who's dealt with them for years, I've always known that process.
Well, no, I appreciate your input. Yeah. No, I appreciate your input because obviously I know you have years of retail knowledge, and so I'm not here to disagree. I wasn't here to disagree from the beginning, but I'm just not always going to just agree just because you say, yeah, this is how it works. But so those are the gatekeepers. Reviews are really important.
I like to throw out Goodreads because Goodreads is also out there, and they have their own protocol that you got to deal with. You know, once again, it's a gatekeeper process, like you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Because Goodreads can also influence New York Times, maybe not to the millions of units or even the hundreds of thousands, but can they crack a comma figure? Yes, they can. Okay. And that's a matter of how we utilize that source and how we work with them. Sure. But once again, another fantastic gatekeeper. I love this topic in regards to that. I never thought about it because as a sales rep, I was handling a list. Yeah. Right. And these are people we deal with, mm-hmm. and these are people we like to expand with. And how do you do it? So when you start fresh, right, or cold. It's like, okay, what does this world look like? Because I don't even know where I'm starting. Yeah. That's when the process of understanding the role of the gatekeeper, and it's not a matter of sending them some chocolates, okay? But,
I get you. Yeah, can I point this out? Let me just point this out. I think that the reason I started with gatekeepers was because I thought it was just really interesting, especially if you're talking about a book, because they determine so much, and once you create your product, if the gatekeepers ignore you, then you have to figure out ways to go around. And I think that's why it's kind of an interesting topic to me. And but
I think it's also why we segues fantastically into the pitch awards conversation.
Right, that's what I wanted to move toward, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
so this is your baby because you love talking about it, and I know very little about it because I've never done it.
Well, no, actually, this is my first experience with it, and I'm going to be very fair about it.
So wait, before you get started about liking it, disliking, can you explain what it is, what Twitter's pitch wars are?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually where I wanted to start. So it's basically a mentoring program where published agented authors, editors, or even industry interns basically they themselves go through a process where they take 2 days or roughly, I want to say 54 hours worth of submissions. Okay, not a traditional 48, but 54 hours because of their timeline. And don't forget, they're going East Coast to West Coast, and actually partisans outside the realm of the United States. So they're trying to get everybody's window and an opportunity to get in there.
So when is this done?
And here's the key part. They're playing the gatekeeper here. All right. So what they do is they have you submit 3 parts. Okay, as a writer on Twitter. So you first and foremost submit a query letter, right, with no header on it, and you're actually targeting up to 4 potential mentors, all right, who fall under certain classifications, certain genres. In my case, it's new adult, which is actually a new topic or a new genre, which as far as 2016, 2017, as far as when people acknowledged or transitioned from young adult or adult and found this middle area because of authors like Angie Thomas, who sort of push these boundaries based off language, not so much sexual content. So you basically have 4 opportunities to send a query letter, a 1-page synopsis, single line, and then roughly 10 pages of your first chapter. Okay, and it's their determination out of all the submissions that they accept who they're going to actually mentor.
How many do they select?
They ended yesterday.
How many do they select?
They only select 1 per mentor.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, man. So actually, the bad thing, I hate to say it like this because God bless all these people who are looking for mentors. So you submit to 4 people, right? But out of those 4 people, you know, overall, because they really break it down, but overall, this morning, which is September 28th, Twitter announced, or Pitch Awards itself announced, they had 3,567 submissions. Okay, worldwide, not nationwide, worldwide. Okay, and you're sitting there going, okay, and where do I fit in this process?
Yeah.
But hey, you know, a lot of writers have come in the last few years since 2014 have come from this process, and I mean published authors.
Okay.
All right, or with the national. So you know, you sit there, you roll the dice, and you know, I'm going to throw it out there that the 2 mentors, and I have a specific reason why I chose them. 2 mentors I actually chose, and allowed me to make submissions to them, are Ayana Gray and Michaela Green. You know, and God bless them, because the way I found them was through the editor that I use, a young lady by the name of Megan Joseph. And, you know, she's sort of been like a guardian angel as far as my writing process. And more or less, I want to say a guru, really a mentor more than anything else. So, you know, her process actually gave me, encouraged me to, before I just went self-published route, see what's out there, see what it looks like, see what the dynamics are. So I thank Megan, and I thank Ms. Gray and Ms. Green for just taking a look and giving me a shot here. So that's the process, though. So they take you on to the next step as far as an actual agent. And if the agents, you know, they mentor you through it and they tell you the changes they think you should make, you know, you either address it, say yay or nay. If you take that step, then they themselves are trying to help you find an agent.
So can I stop you for a second?
There's no guarantee that you will. Go ahead.
So because I don't think everybody knows about Twitter pitch wars, and I guarantee I don't. You dropped a bunch of details that probably are really kind of salient. When is this? How often is this? And you said it ended today, but is it every month? Is it every 3 months?
No, it's
is it once a year?
It's a once-a-year project. It's a 2-day window. So I started on the 25th, where you can start dropping all your material up until the 27th. It was, I think, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That you and
so when did they select? I get that. When did they select?
Wait, say that again?
When will they select who their mentors? I mean, mentees, I guess.
So basically, you have a full month process where they start to read and digest everything that was submitted to them.
So then that would be November?
3rd is when you're here. Yeah, November 3rd is when you're here.
All right. And
well, I should say November 4th officially is when you're here.
That's all right.
You know, whether you're in or out. But you have a clue because they'll start actually asking you for additional submissions. And it's not so much send me the whole thing. It's going to be piecemeal.
Mm-hmm. So
right?
let me ask, can I ask another? So after all this, so this is only in September then, every year?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because it starts off where the mentors have to be chosen first. And the mentors basically are former mentees.
Okay.
People who have gone through this process themselves. Now, I don't know what happened on the first year because I'm late coming to Twitter itself.
Yeah.
But
how many years has this been going on? Do you know? How many years have they done this?
Since 2014.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's not. I mean, really, what? 5 years?
Yep, that would make it if it's 2019.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah,
roughly
about
no,
5, 6 years. Roughly, yeah. But I mean, the funny thing is, actually October was when I wanted to really release my first manuscript. It's been ready. It's been edited. It's had a beta, some beta readers, and at the same time, and I was looking at this, and I'm not be fair about it. I've always been hot and cold about it. I wanted to do it one day, and the next day I'm like, oh, F them. I don't need their adoration. I don't need their love. I don't care about their hate. So, I've always been on the fence about it. And then somewhere, I don't know why, I got this tweet about it, and I went, why not? I got nothing left. I've got nothing to lose. So, yes, I submitted it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting with bated breath, which I find a little interesting. But at the same time, I'm cool with it. There's no sweat off my brow. I'm doing what I love.
Well, that's always
I'm
good.
actually on to my I'm on to my second manuscript,
Okay.
so I'm cool, and that's being edited by Megan, so I'm good. I seriously.
So
I don't put it like this. When we opened up this podcast, I've learned more from you and through you. All right, and it just made me investigate the other avenue, the other side. Talking to retail, all this stuff, and I sort of want to see both sides of it before I fully figure out how deep my toe is going into this water.
sure.
All right,
Well,
but more than anything, you've been a guide all the way through, man.
Well, thank
Hey, no, I mean, please, if people think we argue, because I've actually had people come back and give me feedback on the podcast, and you guys go back and forth. How long have you known them? Since
like 2 or 3 years. This is second year. My second year.
Oh no, this got a long time, so we go back and forth like we brothers. Yes, no big deal.
So
by all means.
I got you. So let's push on. And thank you. You have on here. I don't know anything about it. What's soiled sheets?
Okay. So, which is also going to segue into something else here that we're talking about. So, soil sheets. So, once again, Megan Joseph, my editor, for my two manuscripts, she's been in this game for a while, and she sort of wanted me to take a look at some other material. And one of the people she turned me on to was this author named Phoenix Ash, who's been really, based in Delaware, has been writing, and actually, she's got her own website. She's been doing a lot of stuff, pretty much like we're doing now. So she's been in the game for a minute, and she turned me on to her writing because of something that was in my first manuscript. And she said, take a look at this. This is how it was addressed. And the piece that she turned me on to was Soiled Sheets. And I'm sitting there going, okay, what's the title about? But I got to admit, the minute I delved into it, it's a short novel. It's actually been released by Beloved Publications. But it's funny. It's a fascinating piece because it reminded me of so many things. It's primarily a mother-daughter, a person with mommy issues. Got no other way to say it, okay? The main character, Dana Lawrence, has these mommy issues where she's got this tempestuous relationship with her mother, okay? Where it's back and forth all the time. And she's just looking for adoration or some inkling of love from her mother, other than this pushback that she keeps getting when she just, she wants to be embraced in a certain way. Even though she gets it from her father, her mother's always just throwing these barbs at her, and she can't figure it out. And I'm going to tell you, there are these, in each chapter, and it's only about 20 chapters, but each chapter has this opening, this philosophy that's coming from her mother. And you've seen Jerry Maguire, right?
Yes.
Okay. So remember how Jerry, where Cameron Crowe would actually use lines from Jerry Maguire's mentor?
Yes.
All right. And you thought he was talking about the business, but he was really talking about life?
Yes.
All right. Pretty much that's how it opens. Each chapter opens, and I'm like, wow, that was the first thing that vibed with me. And the next thing that kind of caught me off guard was it's sort of like an urban terms of endearment piece. And I love the movie Terms of Endearment. Some of the humor's not there, but the dramatic arcs are totally there.
Okay.
Well, and to the extent that personally, I would love to have seen this on the screen. I can visualize it in another place. It is that searing. It's that strong. It really is. So I sort of want to throw some love real quick. Go ahead.
Let me just say this. It just makes me laugh because your allusions to certain movies. Almost immediately. You said Terms of Endearment, and I said sure because I knew the title. I've never seen that movie. I never would see those kind of movies because there's nothing in it for me. But I always think that's funny. But that's cool. I mean, I get the idea, but because I kind of read.
But it's funny. But you're a Simpsons guy.
So
So it's James Brooks. It's still the same thing, but I mean, it doesn't matter which side of the fence he's on, as far as the storytelling.
Yeah, but
right?
I think
in terms of endearment.
I'm gonna say before you categorize me as a Simpsons guy, I'm not a Simpsons guy. Firstly, I never have liked the Simpsons. I've seen some episodes, but that's about it. I don't like the
You
Simpsons.
see way more than I have. That's for darn sure.
Well, I doubt it. Well, maybe if you've never seen any, because I've seen like 5. I don't like the Simpsons.
Yeah, you're 10 times better, and that's including the movie. You're 10 times. Because I would at least have said when I saw the movie, but
I've never seen the movie.
Went,
but anyway, let's push on.
Go ahead.
But you had also said something. You had something mentioned about. Thank you for that review. I guess. What's Winter Wonderland?
Okay, so B-Love Publications is holding its first ever Winter Wonderland with the meet and greet, more or less where the consumer, the buying public actually gets to meet the authors. And I mean, man, it's a lot of authors.
Are you going to say where this is at? Are you going to say where this is at?
It's going to be in Memphis. It's going to be in Memphis, Tennessee. I'll be fair about it. I'm just booking the plane flight because I'm going. I got to admit, I'm kind of signing on. I'm even taking a rare day off from work just so I can travel. So it's going to be November 2nd and 3rd in Memphis, Tennessee.
As opposed to Memphis, Paris. Okay, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, you never know, man. Hey, there's Paris, Texas, right? Right? I'm sorry. Did you just say that? Thank you. Anyway, so no, but it's a meet and greet. The first day is basically a bunch where it's sort of a panel. They'll sit there and you get a chance to grill the panel. But they also get to grill you back. So it's sort of like the writing conventions that we've gone to, where they get to you get to throw out some stuff left back and forth. In regards to that, then Sunday is the actual meet and greet. I guess you can take selfies with your favorite authors, and for the most part, I've been corresponding with Phoenix Ash, also India Norfleet, who's got I'm trying to think the Cravenous Curve is the name of the book, and B-Love herself will be there. So the actual proprietor of the line is going to be there. So I've been following these people for a little while, and I just figured, what the heck, I'm going. I'm going to take in this process.
Are you going to Memphis?
Are you going to Memphis? I'm actually going to go. Yeah, I'm actually going. I'm taking off November 1st, which is a Friday.
So
I'm not coming to work, and if they hear it, good for them.
Memphis, Tennessee, you're going to?
As opposed to Paris, Texas.
There we go. All right. I just want to make sure. Because, I don't want anyone confused on that.
Tennessee, yeah.
Okay.
Did I say the dates again? November 2nd, 3rd, now we just did a plug for them. Thank you. Okay. So you don't just give me the information, now we just do the plugs. I'll cash your check.
My neck hurts. I just want you to know, my neck hurts. There's a lot of whiplash in this episode. I want to know what everybody knows. My neck hurts. Whoa.
This is what we do. Okay, so...
All right, so...
but it's funny because one of the things that,
Can I ask you before you... Wait. Can I stop you for a second? 1 second. I just want to... How did you find out about this? And more importantly, before you... I know you, so... not a long-winded thing. I just wanted to know, how did you find out about this meeting?
Glad you asked, Mark. But anyway, once again, now I got to throw this plug again.
Here it is.
Megan Joseph, my editor, okay, and like I said, she's been working on some projects for me, and when she got me in contact with Phoenix Ash, my follow-up there, Phoenix Ash was actually the person who was touting that she would be at this show.
Oh, this Winter Wonderland thing?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm following her, and bam, I go back and forth there, and suffice to say, bam, that's how I found out about it.
Thank you so much. That was
no problem. No, because it's not like I joined their fan club and I get a little, cards.
You're still on this. All right, from them. We're gonna transition.
Because I actually do. Because I already, and I sort of want to go into this because it's sort of blended here. So we're looking at black male authors, and that's sort of, let's go back to B-Love real quick, because it is primarily a female-oriented line. right? No males, no black males, but there could always be a glass ceiling that's broken. You never know. But the key thing here is that, like I said, from your standpoint, as a newly published author, all right, it's one of the things that made me look at the line. It's like, can an alternate be built based off what Be Love has done, or lines like it? And there are a variety of lines that Megan herself actually corresponds with and actually works with. So I'm kind of looking at that dynamic, and truly, something you and I talked about. Where are the black male writers today?
So
who are they? Can we go ahead, please, Meg.
So
jump into it.
That's kind of where I wanted to. I mean, this will be my little bit of talking and kind of switch us into the next mode. It'll be movies, because I love talking about movies. But the one of the things that I think is really fascinating about, again, at the beginning of this pod, we talked about gatekeepers, and then we talked about independent bookstores and Twitter pitch wars and these authors. Well, one of the things that I noticed, and I noticed this when I was in college, and that was really frightening. I noticed that the decreasing numbers of black male authors, and I just couldn't understand it. And I'm always troubled by this, and probably the reason why I wanted to do the podcast was because I don't think a lot of black male voices, educated voices, are out there. Guaranteed, we have black male voices out there, and we have black voices out there, but not all of them are very intelligent. And I'm a critic, so I believe that, and I'm not throwing shade on the people who have really salient points to make. I just find, though, that in the entertainment field, we find that it's limited, and our voices are limited, and I'm talking about black voices. I've seen the market change, the publications change, where when we had the Harlem Renaissance, there were so many black male writers, and nowadays you have very few, and the ones who are being touted are the ones. It's kind of, and I hate to say these terms, because I'm not really, again, I'm not here to divide us, but I think there's some tokenism going on in the publication field. Because if I say there aren't black male writers, or a lot of black male writers, I'm talking about, and this ties into the movies, because it goes from the blockbusters to the independents, and there's no mid-range. And so people love to throw up Ta-Nehisi Coates and say, well, there's Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I'm like, sure, but there's one of him and a million who aren't being heard. They're not, who can't break in, can't be published, can't be seen, can't be understood, or get their vision or voice heard. And that's the part I'm talking about. It's not about me. I know that there's a lot of people nowadays, because the technology, you get this whole kind of push of banging on your chest and saying, it's self. I don't really care about that part. I think that if you have a story to be told, it's not always going to be told from a woman. And if a story is to be told, I think black men can tell stories as well, and they used to. But I don't know. I think that because of technology and the money, a lot of them have moved away from books, and rightly so, when the market is moving away from it and making publications, because these publication houses are just so, and when I looked at them, they're usually run by white men or white women, and it's kind of a hard hurdle to overcome. And
while I agree with you at the utmost, I'll say this. If we recall, let's go back to 1978-79, okay? Rap, okay? When rap really exploded. And rap had already been out there in the marketplace, correct?
Yes.
Okay? To a certain degree, right? Mm-hmm. But since we're talking about male to female, especially people of color, mm-hmm. Okay? Sugar Hill, from the face of Sugar Hill, okay, was Sylvia Robinson, okay? And look what exploded from there. So men did find their way into running labels, black men, Okay, I look at maybe from the states that you're taking, some of the things that you've educated me on, that black men more or less need to one find a dynamic more or less to emulate, and then build from there. That's why I thought that Teddy D, you building Teddy D, and the follow ups, were the first real step in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Other authors like Roy Glenn and Keith Kareem Williams out there. The dynamic that you guys are trying to create. The prolific material that you have to put out there. Because let's face it, you're gonna have to release a ton of stuff, but that other authors, other people try to find their voice and put it out there as well. Like I said, from my standpoint, what you actually initiated has allowed me to finally say, you know what, let me get off the dime. I got all this stuff. Let me see what's what.
Sure.
All right, and jump into that endeavor. Not to say that we're actually going to be the ultimate guys who do this, but I do believe, I agree with you about there needs to be a time and place, and the key thing is we don't need to look for somebody else's acceptance. We just need to get out there. And going back even to your gatekeepers, a way to crash down those gates.
Right. And I think that, can I say this? I think that the reality for me is I don't have to be the Renaissance man. I just want to be on the battlefield, just swinging. Exactly. Because I think that unfortunately right now, many of the black voices, the black male voices, are being silenced. And I think that is troubling for me as a person of color. I hate saying that. But I think it just really is fascinating that they're moving. I mean, and this seems to be a systematic process to move people away from listening to what the black voices have to say. And I'm talking about not just black voices, black male voices specifically, not and missing out on that what their that richness has in the culture. Because I did advertising, and I'm talking a little bit about my past and background, and I remember reading something that said that the black male would be removed by the 21st century. And I was like, I never did understand that, but I start to see it a little more clearly now, that they're saying that the whole idea of black male identity is going to be removed. And I think I see that.
I totally agree with you. And don't get me wrong, because I find that the bigger dynamic as far as book publishing itself is cherry picking. But you know what? Here's the thing about it: we as a movement need to embrace the cherries that they allow us to get access to.
Surely.
And I think that on a collective level, we don't. I think that you and I, because of the realm that we actually operate in, and I say that as employment, okay, we expose ourselves. We're not necessarily exposed to it. We expose ourselves more so to that dynamic, and that's really why it's a big issue to us. Because I remember having this conversation with you recently, because I didn't even realize Walter D. Myers had been dead as long as he had. I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at him dying. I'm laughing at that conversation.
It is funny.
Yeah,
it is funny that here I am saying, man, monsters finally getting out. I don't know, it took him so long. You're like, dude, you're dead. I'm like, oh my god, they just giving him love now. It's like,
right.
What's that? Throw flowers while they're still alive.
Right.
So you mean to tell me his family had to work out this deal? And this film, don't get me wrong, because actually this film's been ready for over a year. And it's still pushing Monster around to the festival circuit.
Yeah.
And have you read Monster?
Yes.
I've always, from day one when I read it, I said, man, somebody's got to take this on. Somebody bigger, unfortunately, but somebody's got to take this on, to introduce people to this world.
Yeah.
To, especially that story, or even Slam, or Scorpion or Shooter, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, Walter D. And then to find out he's dead, how quickly have we forgotten about Walter Mosley, who just got kicked off of a television show because he used the N-word talking about himself. That's real interesting. But, Walter Mosley with the Easy Wall and stuff. I'm actually looking forward to a new series he's writing, Trouble's What I Do, or even Always Outnumbered, Always Outgunned.
Yeah.
You brought up Coates over there, but also I just finished reading Nickel Boys from Colson Whitehead.
Yep.
So, I'll give you two. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm giving you these two, and then I'm done. Not so much done with the topic. I'm gonna let you take over. So you got Justin Reynolds, which was written a book very similar to my original manuscript, called The Opposite of Always, and it's a tremendous book. But also Jason Reynolds, and Jason Reynolds is an interesting writer because while the book, which is very reminiscent of Walter D. Meyer's style, called Long Way Down. If you haven't taken a look at this novel, you got to read it. But Jason Reynolds also is the guy handling, from a graphic standpoint, Miles Morales, Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. Oh, really? So his characterization is actually what was transitioned into the movie.
Okay.
All right, so Jason Reynolds, you say, I just don't want people to get confused about the two Reynolds I named. One is Justin, the other one's Jason. Jason handles the Spider-Verse stuff. Also, he's got the track series, Ghost, Patina, Sunny, and Lou. So four short books, but tremendous books out there in the marketplace. I'm done. I've given love to black authors, black male authors in particular. But, I agree with you 100% that there are many more out there who just haven't transitioned, haven't hit the radar, are so below the radar that I don't even know where to scratch because I can't go to a traditional, brick and mortar to find them because nobody's telling that. Right. They're going to give me the next works of Malcolm X. I'm like, I just have a new work. Tupac now? Seriously. How many more books you going to give me? And I don't say this disrespectfully.
No, I get you.
Can you give me a Malcolm X?
Okay.
Okay?
So
give me something new. Give me a new perspective.
We're going to pause here and let our commercial sponsors kick in for a second. So hang on a second.